If you have a family, you know firsthand that when it comes to keeping that family healthy, there's more to it than fighting colds and flu. In today's world, with the pressures of work, the stress of commuting, finances, the busyness of kids' schedules, even the worries of tomorrow, well, it's no wonder that so many of us sometimes forget why we wanted children in the first place. Well, in today's episode of Your Best Life, I have a parenting coach who is going to guide us through those roads and how she helps families create an emotionally healthy family together. Stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of Your Best Life. I'm your host and healthy living correspondent, Beth Schomp. When it comes to having a healthy family these days, it's really more than just about physical health. There's so many challenges that parents have to face in raising a family, and to help us navigate through the minefields of parenting, I have for us today a parenting coach. I'm so excited for you to meet her. Her name is Janis Meredith, and Janis is the owner and founder of Raising Champion Families. So welcome, Janis. So glad to have you on here today.
Well, thanks for having me. This is awesome. It's great.
Good. So let's start off with talking about what is a parent coach? What is it that you do?
Well, a coach in general is anyone that comes along beside someone else and just kind of gives them guidance and cheers them on and helps them find solutions to problems. So a parent coach would be the same thing, except that obviously I'm there to walk alongside, to mentor, to help parents find solutions for problems that they face, frustrations that they're facing. Parenting is one of the hardest jobs on the planet, and so that's what I'm there for. And honestly, a lot of people say, parenting coach? I've never heard of a parenting coach. Well, nowadays you have coaches for just about everything, right?
So why not?
Yeah. So why not? It's a need. It's definitely a need.
Oh, I'm sure it is. So when it comes to being a parent coach, what type of services do you offer?
Okay. I work with families, parents mostly. I work with parents. And I offer a couple different things. One of them is just, they come to me with a specific issue. They're having trouble connecting with their teenager, or their kids struggling in school and they don't know how to help them, whatever the specific thing is. And so then we usually meet for a series of a few sessions, and we coach through it. We have them help them find solutions. Sometimes parents just say, I just need general help. So every session, I usually suggest at least 6 sessions. Every session we tackle a different issue. The second thing I do is what I call my parenting tool belt, where I actually give them specific tools they can use. We actually go through a little curriculum where in 6 sessions, we talk about dealing with your anger, understanding your child's love language, communication, all those boundaries, all those things that are important tools for parents to use. So those are the 2 main ways that I work with parents.
I want to come back and talk about the tool belt in a few minutes, but so this is different from being like a family counselor, right?
Yes.
And how would that, how is it different?
Well, first of all, I don't work with kids. That's not where my passion lies, and it's not where my expertise lies. I work with parents to give them the tool. People will say, well, my kid's doing this. How do I fix it? I don't fix kids. I fix parents, because I believe that if you start with the parents and give them the right tools and the right things to do, that it will help their kids more efficiently and effectively in the long run. So, and I'm not a licensed counselor or therapist. If I am working with someone that I feel needs a deeper therapy, I will recommend them. I have several that I recommend people to. I will recommend them to take their child, especially if it's a child that needs help. I will say, I think it would be good for them to go for therapy or counselor that's licensed
Sure.
in their field. So
Of course.
that's the difference. And a coach is more of a person that deals with today and what we're dealing with today and moving forward.
Mhm.
A therapist or a counselor a lot of times deals with issues from the past and
Right.
working through those.
It makes so much sense to me, frankly, because uh, first of all, not everyone has had the benefit of a really great home life that they're able to model after.
Mhm.
And if they don't think about it, they don't know that they've got to go find role models. So the parent coach to me fills that gap, which makes a lot of sense. What led you to this field in the first place?
Well, life, I think, I started when I was raised in a family of 6 and the youngest, and just in a home that was not perfect, but had the basics, and a healthy basics, good communication, uh, good listening skills, those kind of things. And so, when we had our own kids, my husband and I have been married for 40 years now, and our kids are all in their 20s and 30s, so they're up there. But as they grew up, I actually started working with sports parents because my kids were all in sports.
Mhm.
And then I kind of evolved it into just working with all parents, because I saw that, there was parents deal with a lot of the same frustrations. And I felt like it, you can read a book, you can listen to a podcast like you are, but I mean, sometimes it just takes that sit down one
Mm,
to one, let's figure this out kind of a thing. So
sure.
yeah.
So, I have friends that have very successful lives. And I'm a big fan of counseling, quite frankly. I think it's a really great thing to do. And some of the healthiest people and healthiest marriages that I know go through counseling to be proactive.
Hmm.
I think in the world of parent coach, and I know for me, my first impression was, oh, this is for families that have challenges. And of course, that's how I teed it up in the intro. But I'm just wondering, what about for the parent who says, I'm a pretty good parent and things seem to be okay. Well, why would I need a parent coach?
That's a great question. And um, I guess I would go to the analogies of every business person. If you want to get better in business, they say business is going pretty well, but you want to make more money, you get a business coach. You want to lose weight, you get a health coach or a nutrition coach, you get a fitness coach, you get financial coaches, and a lot of times it's just like, okay, I want to tweak some things in my parenting. I want to be more effective. I've worked with parents that are good parents. They're doing a good job. They just want to get better. They want to add tools to their tool belt.
Yeah.
They want to, it's like you read a good book and say, oh, I never thought of it that way, or oh, that's a great thing to add to what we're already doing. So for those parents, and plus the proactive piece is huge, because if your kids are small, although the first 5 years are crucial anyway, but some people say, well, my kid's only a year old, but being proactive and having those foundational tools that in your belt that you start to use little by little is
Mhm.
important as well.
Totally
So,
makes sense to me. So, in today's world? Um, what are some of the challenges that parents face that you help them with?
well, the challenges go across the board. I mean, you have everything from my kids vaping in high school to my kids, throwing temper tantrums in Target, so there's all across the board. I guess the most common ones are parents whose kids don't listen. They get frustrated because they feel like they're saying the same things over and over and over again, and the kids aren't responding, they're not cooperating. There's another common theme is the lack of connection
Mhm.
with a teenager or a middle schooler. They feel like they're growing apart and they're not connecting. They're not they're not being able to communicate well, and it's frustrating. So that's another one. I've worked with parents that have come to me and said, I didn't have good role models, like you said,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure how to do this, so most of the time people don't come to me until they're like desperate, like
Right.
I need help. And I
They've
wish
tried
I could,
everything else.
yeah. And I wish I could get them before they get to that point and
Mhm.
say, you don't need to get to the desperate point. If you start using these tools, you may not get to the desperate point. Your kids are going to make dumb choices. That's just life. I mean, that's going to happen. But you will have in place those tools that you can use that will help you face those challenges more calmly, and be able to handle them in a better way.
If I were a single parent today, now my children, like yours, are grown and gone and have children of their own. But if I were a single parent today, I think that would be such a priority for me, because I would not want to mess that up. And parenting's hard enough with two. And
Mhm.
if you're single, I think you fill a huge gap, the more that you're teaching me about
Mhm.
this. So let's go back and let's talk about tools that you use. I love the concept about this tool belt. So I want you to talk a little bit more in detail about the tool belt that you.
Okay. Okay. So the first week, we actually talk about dealing with your own anger as a parent. What are some ways that, because kids push our buttons,
Mhm.
and so what are some ways that you can handle and keep your own anger in check?
Mhm.
The second week, we talk about understanding your child's love language. We have them do assessments with their kids. We come back and we talk about, okay, what does it mean to speak this love language? What does that look like? And what are some things you can practically do to speak that to your child? The third week, we talk about instilling core values. This is where we actually uh, go through each person that goes through it, whether it's a couple or a single mom, parent, or dad. Um, I go through a little exercise that helps them figure out what their core values are, and for their family, and then how do they implement those? How do they weave them into the fabric of their home?
Mhm.
We talk about boundaries as well that week. How to, what should those boundaries be, and how should you enforce them, consequences, things like that. Then the third week, we talk about living flexibly, which is the tension between being flexible and being consistent. And how do you know when to be flexible and when to be consistent? So we talk about that. And then the last week, we talk about developing healthy communication. So what are some ways that you can have good communication in your family between, obviously if it's a couple, first with between the couple, or between the kids and the parents and such. So, because that's a key right there. So that's what we do. We do it over 6 weeks. And then they walk away, I feel, with a pretty solid foundation
That's
of
great.
how to parent. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get it all right the first time. We never do we? But
No.
at least they have a point of reference now.
Talk for just a second about the love languages, because I'm familiar with it, but a lot of people aren't. So, give an example of one of the love languages that a child would have, and why it's important that both parties know about love languages.
Okay. Yeah, everybody has a love tank.
Mhm.
And so that if that love tank is not filled, especially in children or teenagers, it could come out it could show itself in a negative behavior. So in order to fill that love tank, we need to figure out, well, what exactly says love to that child? And for some, it's gifts, it's service, it's words of affirmation, it's physical touch, it's quality time. So let's say, for instance, you have your child take this assessment, and you conclude that their strongest, usually I focus on the top two, but let's say their strongest one is quality time. Okay, so you think, okay, so we talk about exactly what quality time means, what it looks like. It's not just sitting there watching a TV show together. It's when you are actually connecting with your child in some way, shape, or form. Quality time is about having those quality conversations.
Mhm.
And so, then we talk a lot more about, okay, what does that look like? What are some things you can do to have that quality time? And then when the child gets that, and the problem is that we as adults, and I think this happens in marriages too, we know what we like. We know what speaks love to us. So we assume that if I
Yeah.
like gifts, then they must like gifts too. When something that speaks louder to them is perhaps acts of service or physical touch. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I know that firsthand. My oldest daughter, her love language, her priority, the one that ranks the highest is quality of time. That being able she just wants that one-on-one time, and she's very gifted at giving that as well. But the younger one is really a combination of acts of service. She so appreciated coming home from school and there would be a snack on the table. She just loved that. And then of course, mommy shopping days. So and the older one could care less about the snack on the snack on the table, and she really didn't care about shopping days. So it's good to know those things because it's a form of connection. So yeah, that really makes a lot of sense. Give me some examples of parents that you've been able to help, the success stories, if you will.
Okay, well, I'll tell you one I just finished up with today. A single dad came to me, has two teenagers, and said he just felt like he needed some help on connecting with them better. And so we actually didn't go through the tool belt. We just did freestyle coaching with him, although I brought up some of the same concepts. But today was our last session, and I asked him, what are your biggest what do you feel coming out of this that you've really learned? And his big thing was that he felt like he learned to do better at listening and asking questions, because we talked a lot about that. He learned and another thing that I did go through with him was core values, and he set up family values for them, and that was very influential in their family. He's used it a lot talking to his kids. And then also focusing on what it means to respond instead of react. And so he felt like it had really helped him. Another story is a single mom with 4 little girls under the age of 10 who just came to me like, I have no clue how to be this parent, And so I took her through the tool belt, gave her that foundation, and then we have continued to meet as a kind of an accountability check-in. And every week we talk, we usually address a different challenge, whether it's the morning routine. How can that run smoothly? How can I get my kids to help clean up the house and the mess? And how can I have some time for me? How do I, very down to earth things. And I have seen a slow change and shift in her, watching the way that she'll text me like, I'm doing this and this, I tried this and it worked. And I'm like, good job. That was a great parenting moment and a great parenting win. So it is a process, it is a definite process, and no parent is going to learn tips and then immediately be an amazing parent.
Right.
But if you are committed to it and you know that's what you want, then you just keep working and you keep doing it, even when you make mistakes, and you just say, I think I could have done that better. How could I have done that better?
It's all in the journey, isn't it? Good.
Absolutely.
So Janis, this has been fabulous. I want to thank you for your time today. I mean, I could probably talk for a whole nother hour, but I always like to keep these videos nice and short and sweet. So anyway, so thank you so much. Now, I know some of our viewers may want to reach out to you with questions or to inquire more about your services. If somebody wanted to reach you, how can they find you? What's the best way to reach you?
The best way is to go to my website, rcfamilies.com. There is a contact on a place to contact. There's my blog where I write weekly parenting tips. There's it lists my coaching services in there as well. So you could definitely reach me through that.
That's great. And your blog, that gives me an idea. We have a Facebook group, and it's called Your Best Life, a wellness group. And so I'd love for you to post some of your blog articles on that group as well. So for our viewers, we do have this wonderful Facebook group, and you can find it. We will post the link at the bottom of this. And so I want to thank you for viewing today. If you have any questions on this video or any other videos, please feel free to email me directly at yourbestlife9@gmail.com. Now, please be sure and like this video and subscribe to the channel so that we can let you know on all of our upcoming videos on Your Best Life. Until next time, be happy and be healthy.